Protectors of the Grid. Chapter 42. She chose the terrace, preferring the outdoors where nature had an opportunity to participate. The terrace was plenty big. The four of them pulled the patio furniture aside, took the cushions from the furniture, and sat in the shelter of the wall. In the center, Tara drew a circle of cornmeal with the cross directions marked in tobacco. At the center, she placed 3 bay leaves, then laid down a cloth woven with sacred symbols. In the center, she placed a fat white candle inside a hurricane globe. The afternoon breeze was gusting in from the bay. It would get chilly soon. Tara held her medicine bundle tenderly, eyes closed, breath evening out, face softening into deep serenity. She picked up her rattles. Soon the lulling rhythm, along with the tones of her medicine song, shifted the energy. It grew so quiet, the air seemed to hold its breath. Nothing stirred, and then the leaves of the treetops around the terrace rattled violently as a gust blew through. Even protected by the hurricane glass, the candle flame flickered. And then everything grew quiet again, expectant, a shimmer of aliveness awaiting the next voice in the conversation. It startled them when it came. Hoo! Hoo! There was a flapping of wings and a whoosh so close that their hair blew, but they saw only the blip of a shadow. Hoo! 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 Who are you calling? What do you want? Tara continued to rattle. We need help, Grandfather. We need information about a situation that could affect many beings in many dimensions. We need wisdom to know what to do. We need strength and courage to do what needs to be done. Will you help us, Grandfather? Hoo, 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 hoo. Ben shook his head, not quite in disbelief any longer, but astonishment. From the corner of his eye, Ben saw movement. As he watched, a dark shadow stalked silently along the wall of the terrace, a black form that sat for a moment on the wall, looking around, then leapt to the floor beside Tara, where it stood, flicking its tail. Yow! Hiss! Then it crouched and slowly slunk across the circle, giving the flickering candle only a brief glance, its yellow eyes fixed on Ben, as though he were her prey. Ben was mesmerized, staring back. The cat crouched in front of him, the black fur on her ruff standing straight up, the gold of her eyes gleaming through half-closed slits, still fixed purposefully on the man sitting cross-legged in front of her. Quick as lightning, she swiped a paw at him, leaving 4 bloody tracks on the skin of his knee. Ow! Yelled Ben, outraged. Yow! The cat yelled back. The others heard the angry yowl of a house cat, but Ben heard the angry roar of a jaguar and knew there was no mistaking the message. What was it Grace had said about asking for help from his allies? A black jaguar can eat you alive or protect you. This time she took you to other dimensions, showed you other realities. I suspect she will also let you know when you are close to dangerous ground. She's interested in your highest good, not your momentary happiness. If you feel her stalking around, growling and switching her tail, you do well to pay attention to what's in front of you. She's warning you and you don't want her to get really upset. Just days after his vision question, Ben knew exactly what was going on. He stared at the cat. The cat continued to stare at him. He nodded at her and tentatively reached out a hand. The cat shrank back, refusing his touch, then backed farther out of his reach before rising and backing toward Tara. When it got beside her, the cat straightened and leaned against her, purring loudly and rubbing itself against her. Ben felt thoroughly chastised and slightly resentful, but before he could react, he noticed another movement, this one on the ground behind Charlie, moving toward Will. Candlelight flickered off shiny black scales as the shadow lizard crawled around just outside the circle. Ben felt something move deep in his belly and felt the density and discomfort rising again. No. Not only no, but hell no. Ben didn't know he had shouted the words until he heard echoes off the bricks of the wall and the tiles of the floor, but he didn't care and the words spilled out. Pachamama, I choose light. I choose all things good. I will do whatever I can to serve the good, to serve you. As he spoke, warmth filled his body. The awful sense of darkness that felt heavy and poisonous melted before it could take hold. Ben felt light and strong and clear. He struggled to his feet and stood like a warrior, feet planted, fists clenched and raised, ready to do battle. The black cat moved around behind Tara and peered at Ben from under her arm, then fixed her golden stare on the shadow that was shifting shape as they all watched. Textures changed, Scales became luminous, dark skin and long, silky hair as she rose from the ground to stand before them, a voluptuous woman undulating in the gentle movements of a hula. The Mo spoke in a breathy whisper that ruffled the trees like the wind had done earlier. "Well done, Ben. Now you see, now you know." The others could see only wisps of shadow, but felt her smile, felt the energies shift. "Go do your work. You will find what you need. Trust yourself and trust what you find. The power is yours to keep as long as you walk with integrity and honor." The next gust of wind was a gale that swooshed in, a whirlwind on the terrace that blew dust and debris around them, forcing them to close their eyes. When the air settled and they could open their eyes, the shadow was gone. The candle flame burned strong and straight in the placid air. Tara released the breath she'd been holding. Charlie did too. Wow. Will was watching Ben, still standing in warrior stance, but his gaze shifted when he noticed the big black cat stalk over, crouch, then leap up. Ben's reflexes were quick. He caught her, his arms sagging at her unexpected weight but holding on. He flinched when her claws caught and pulled his t-shirt, but he held on. "Damn, this cat must weigh more than 20 pounds, he exclaimed. She squirmed in his arms and he loosened his grip a little. She put both paws on his chest, claws sheathed, then stretched up and started licking his jaw as though she were grooming a kitten. Tara started to laugh. "Ben, I'd say you look like something the cat dragged home, but—" "She likes you now, doesn't she?" crowed Charlie. Will was still watching the whole scene with a bemused expression. Ben looked down his nose at him. "Aren't you going to make a wisecrack too?" "Nah, I was just thinking about the best and quickest way to teach you to direct energy. Now that you have the power, you need to know how to use it." Will rose to his feet as well. "What do you mean?" Ben, still holding the cat now snuggled comfortably in his arms, stepped back a couple of paces. Will raised his hands, palms toward Ben, balanced his stance, and half-closed his eyes. He inhaled deeply, exhaled, inhaled again, and a wave of invisible force poured into the space between them, almost knocking Ben off his feet. "Oof," Ben grunted, as though he'd been punched in the belly. He staggered, then regained his balance. Will lowered his hands and shook them as though shaking off water after a wash, but Ben knew he was shaking off the remnants of energy. The cat squirmed and jumped to the ground, then slipped behind the big bamboo plant to peek out the other side. "Wow, okay, Will, show me how to do that." "Yes, that and more," Tara declared, and they all huddled around as the lessons began.